.40 is a dead caliber. It's a bad round. You don't want it. It's this, it's that. And quite frankly, I couldn't disagree more, even as it relates to a concealed carry platform. Hello everyone, and welcome back to AmmoMart.com. Today we're going to continue our discussion on the .40 Smith & Wesson caliber and how it would relate in a concealed carry platform. In the previous video, we did a brief history of the .40 Smith & Wesson, and during that period of time, I explained to people how it was the .40 came into existence and what that caliber was originally designed to do. And as we go forward with today's discussion, it's very important that we keep that in mind. So for those of you that might have missed the previous video, let me explain. The .40 Smith & Wesson was a caliber designed almost exclusively for law enforcement, particularly the FBI, to have more stopping power than 9mm. Because of that, it was designed to be used in a full-size duty weapon, similar to this Glock 22. Its inherent characteristics don't lend itself to a whole lot of adaptability. This wasn't what it was designed to do. It's an I mean it caliber designed to immediately neutralize a dangerous threat and perhaps disable a car. When you try to adapt it to a smaller, more concealable platform, you're going to get some negative characteristics. That is more of a product of trying to get it to do something we don't want it to do, as compared to whether the .40 Smith & Wesson is a bad round. And I hate that term, and I hear it all the time. .40 is a dead caliber. It's a bad round. You don't want it. It's this, it's that. And quite frankly, I couldn't disagree more, even as it relates to a concealed carry platform. So one of the things you're going to find different about today's video is, unlike most times, I am going to interject some personal opinions that I've picked up all across years of watching people shoot. And unfortunately, most people that you deal with in this business are not terribly talented shooters. Not trying to offend anybody, but if you're a once-a-year shooter, the .40 Smith & Wesson isn't going to be your bag, no matter whether it's a full-size or a concealable handgun. One of the reasons that .40 Smith & Wesson isn't as popular as it once was, especially related to concealed carry guns, is its limited capacity. The Glock 27, depending on the magazine, has a 9-round capacity. 7s in the Smith & Wesson Shield are not uncommon, and this one here in the Walther PPS is an 8. Most people stand at the counter and go, well, look, I can get a 9mm concealed handgun with 10, 12, 13 rounds of capacity. And don't get me wrong, that's a great thing. It's a valid trait when you're making your selection. But I also think it divorces itself from the reality of what goes on in civilian-based shootings, which is this. There's less than 3 rounds expelled between the two parties, period. Using that logic, if we don't get a lot of chances to put a lot of holes in people, my preference would be for you to put a more dangerous, large, and debilitating hole in somebody than not. In short, you're better off with a .40 caliber concealed carry gun that you can use well and an extra magazine than you are with a 9mm with 13 rounds of capacity, because rounds 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 are only going to do you good if you live that long. If you follow the Miami shootout in 1986 we covered before, may not work that way for you. One of the more crucial aspects of selecting a .40 caliber handgun for concealed carry is, does the gun fit your hand? Oftentimes I find in dealing with customers that they purchased the gun from a friend, or however they came in possession of it, the gun never fit them originally. And that is critically important. If the gun doesn't feel right in your hand, based on the fact that it's a .40 and a smaller gun, and in fact it's because it's a concealed carry weapon, absolutely critical that we find one that the shooter finds comfortable, because at some point, comfort is going to translate into control. If you're a shooter who does not like the low pinky sort of thing here, you're never going to like it, and you're going to hate it with a .40. Now, this is a very common grip pattern from Glock, short but fat. Some people find this very doable, very comfortable. Some don't. So along that line, manufacturers like Smith & Wesson, in their Shield platform, has designed a skinny but slightly longer handle even though roughly same magazine capacity. This is, most people find that have smaller hands, way more preferable to this, and you'll notice even a hand my size can get a good firm purchase on the gun. I'm going to not sweep our audience here and shoot the gun right hand, and it also gives me plenty of purchase with my support hand to control the gun. Comfort is control, and control is comfort with a powerful concealed carry handgun. If you're at the counter and the gun doesn't feel right, don't buy it. If you buy a gun that doesn't feel right and you shoot it and don't like it, or you don't hit well with it, it's not the caliber. It's the choice that you've made. Unfortunately, that distinction has been lost, also helping the 40 Smith & Wesson be a bad caliber or a dead caliber. And that's unfortunate, because if we were making more intelligent purchases, the 40 is a fabulous caliber. Back to 40 as a concealed carry gun. You are in fact going to notice more felt recoil. It's common sense. The more powerful the caliber, the more felt recoil to the shooter. Question is that recoil manageable? Back to one of the reasons why the 40 has a tainted reputation right now is a lot of the people that are shooting 40s picked a gun that was too small to begin with. One they're not capable of shooting well without extended training that they're unwilling to put in. Once again, you don't deserve to carry a 9mm every day if you don't practice with it, just like you're not really, in my opinion, privileged enough to carry any gun you don't practice with. They're everyday carry guns. If you're relying on them for an everyday safety tool, you should be proficient with it. And in my opinion, most people would develop the ability to shoot the 40 concealed carry platform well if they applied themselves. You do get, just like in any other concealed carry market, a wide array of sighting pictures with the guns. What I would recommend is you find a sight picture and sights from the factory or aftermarket that allow you to see them well in low light conditions, because once again, most civilian-based shootings happen around 10:45 p.m. or indefinitely happen in a low light situation, usually outside, darkened parking lot or something of that nature. Before we go, we'll show you some different sight pictures on the guns we've selected here. 40 Smith & Wesson, in my opinion, will once again come back in popularity. They always do. I've been in the gun business long enough to know that everything is pretty cyclical, and right now, sure, 40 caliber is not as popular as it once was. But one of its inherent good traits is plenty of stopping power, reliable platform. If you choose one with the right manufacturer, meaning buy a good gun, you get a good caliber with it, great, reliable. Next thing about the 40 Smith & Wesson that I think will always make it popular is everybody that has a 9mm is competing with everybody else that has a 9mm. Back in the day, a couple of years ago in the buying trend, 40s were the only guns you could get, and it was the last ammo available on the shelf. And that's important, because the most popular handgun caliber in the world is the 9. It's actually one of the things that works against it in times of civil unrest or worldwide pandemic. Don't throw your 40s away. And if you're a customer trying to decide what type of caliber that you should buy, my advice to you is go to a range that lets you shoot them all. And if you spend enough time with your experiment, you're going to find out 40 Smith & Wesson can be a solid choice. Thanks for watching this video. We'll catch you next time.